Hey, listener. This is Shane from the RecLess podcast, and I'm excited to announce that this season of RecLess is brought to you by Civic Plus. For all of our park and rec pros out there, do you constantly feel like you're putting out fires? Dealing with registrations, facility bookings, team calendars? It's a non-stop juggling act. And all the admin work as well. It's keeping you from doing what really matters, serving your community. That's where Civic Plus comes in. Their comprehensive parks and recreation management solution streamlines everything from online registration to facility scheduling and payments. It's all in one place. Parks and Rec Management by Civic Plus automates the busy work that bogs you down so you can spend less time on paperwork and more time creating unforgettable programs for your residents and communities. Civic Plus is a trusted partner for thousands of high-performing civic leaders, helping them balance better services with limited resources. With over 25 years' experience and a team of 900 experts, Civic Plus powers over 10,000 organizations and touches 340 million lives every day. If you're ready to trade out burnout for impact, visit civicplus.com. The best-run local governments run on Civic Plus technology. All right, now on with the show.
Welcome to Season 5 of RecLess, the podcast making you smarter and more knowledgeable about the field of parks and recreation. Your hosts are Shane Mize, Jay Tryon, and Tom Venniro, three career-long friends from across the country bringing you a surprise guest each episode. Listen in on a great conversation, maybe take some notes, and definitely enjoy a couple of laughs. This is RecLess.
What's up?
Not much, champ.
Yeah.
Dilly the Dillo.
Dilly the Dillo. Did you see, I was waiting on one of y'all to hop on a call or something. I don't know. Hannah caught it somehow, but I was eating a dilly bar. And
That
Hannah,
thing that she made a video of? Yeah.
but this has nothing to do with their dilly bar fandom. It's totally separate.
I thought it was like armadillo or something.
Could be. Do you know any dillos?
Mm,
The armadillos.
man, speaking of that, whew, three of the teams with the bye are gone.
Yeah, and all four teams' head coaches are Nick Saban protege.
The four left.
Yep.
Was Kiffin a Nick Saban, but he left obviously.
But Pete Golding or whatever, the defense coordinator that they promoted the head coach, was under Nick Saban at one time in Alabama. Dan Langingham or whatever his name is was like a GA. He's at Oregon now. He was a GA in Alabama. The Indiana coach was at Alabama. And the Miami coach, Cristobal, was an offensive line coach at Alabama. So,
Yeah, doing good things.
yeah, it's impressive. I've heard some stuff on Nick Saban, and it's interesting, like the level of obsession he took it to, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they would be prepping for a game that there was no way they were going to even lose, nor less it be close. And they'd have a coaches meeting and they'd have a 30-minute discussion on what happens if we go to overtime. What side of the field do we want? What's the wind looking like? And the other coaches were looking around saying, it's Alabama State. Like, we're going to beat them 57-0, and we're still here.
We didn't need to practice.
We're
We
still
literally
here at 9:00 at night trying to talk about if it goes to overtime, what side of the field do we want?
This could be a game where we just put the quarterback out and let him call the plays.
Yep.
And we will win, like backyard football. You know, in Brady, Belichick,
they had that level of obsession.
I know
too.
I said this before, like Tom Cruise, like you read about the guy. It's crazy, the stuff that goes through. But I mean, that type of success and longevity. It's not even just the success, it's the longevity. You can have success in quick spurts. You know what I mean? Whether it's fortune,
catch fire, get lucky,
timing. I mean, you see it with definitely in the entertainment business all the time. But the longevity piece, I mean, it's
a question I like to ask in the interview process is, what are you obsessed about? And it doesn't have to be about the job. You could be obsessed about model cars, but like, what are you obsessed about? And I think it's the people that have some sort of obsession that shows that there's a drive or ambition there. And the people are like, I'm not really obsessed about anything. It's like, okay. Family, friends, fitness, music, something, you know.
Yeah, my kids, whatever, you know what I
mean?
Have
a passion about something.
Yeah, I still read and listen to a lot of Brady's interviews that he does now because people always are trying to get a piece of his brain. And yeah, there's so many pieces of that obsession that he had for whether one that I just picked up on, and it's just all of it's simple when you really boil it down. But there's some things that are crazy, like the
Mm-hmm.
diet and all that. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
be strict and disciplined for a lot of it. But there's also simple parts of it where he's like, what's the most important part of either your day or the just the outset of how a week is going. He's like, hands down, the first hour of my day, first 2 hours of my day,
Yeah.
what I get accomplished in that first hour sets the tone for the rest of it. And it's think about when you go to work and if you get in a little late or you have to put out a fire right
Traffic or
away,
something happen.
traffic
Yeah, you just get thrown off.
throws you off. Yeah.
Now that time blocking that people do now. And I do it. I time block. If you look at my calendar, every
Yep.
day, 8 to 10 a.m. is blocked off for me now. Obviously, the
Yeah.
city manager calls a meeting, and I'm going to be there. But
Yeah. Time block, you gotta. I mean, you have to. That still doesn't mean something can't come up during that time block, but you got to try to guard it as best you can.
yeah, for sure.
What's
Jay
up?
Bird.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, I'm just plugging the microphone.
Almost too good. I can hear him too well.
Dial it down.
Ugh, what's up?
What's up, buddy? Coming from a meeting?
Well, coming from an eventful day, I got a flat tire this morning.
Oh, we were just talking about how something can throw off a day like that.
So and I just got in from the dealership because I had other stuff I had to get my car looked at for. So
Is this the van?
yeah, and I had a nail. So it wasn't like a major thing, but it was one of those not the way to start the day because instead of getting in my office at 8:30, I didn't get in until 12.
We were
Dude, that's
just
crazy. We
just
literally
talking
had this
about it.
conversation.
How you time block things and you want things to be perfect, and one thing can throw off,
Yeah.
a traffic even. You just get somewhere
there.
late, and it's just the rest of your day is just like
Yeah.
driving
So
your.
today we do a winter camp instead of spring break camp and summer
Yeah.
camp. Today's the last day. So our camp director texted me and was like, "Hey, can we do a quick debrief on the week?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not in the office yet. I'm at the dealership." So then she came over here to meet at 12 right as I was getting here. And then obviously, so I'm a little delayed, but I'm good now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, folks. Welcome to RecLess. This is episode 98 in your programs, but number 1 in your heart. What do you think about that intro? Was that pretty good? That was off the cuff.
Yeah, never heard it before.
My name's Shane. These are my work colleague friends. Tomas and Jay Bird.
Whatever you used the other day on social media to comment on my post and a photo of us was a step down. It didn't even have friends in it or anything.
Work industry
like
colleagues is what I said.
I don't think I saw that.
Well, Jay,
it was a picture
we
within a
made
post,
Tom's
yeah.
we made Tom's end of the year top 20 photos. We made it twice. Work industry colleagues have made this.
That's right. So
I wonder if the whole best friend conversation never happened, if we would have made it. So maybe he just did it
not at all
to make us feel better. Or
it was guilt.
Yeah,
for sure. He had gotten to his 20 and he had to delete probably a photo of him and his brother, to throw us in there. And he had to text him and be like, "Hey, sorry, buddy."
So you know what? This is totally off topic, and we're way off the rails
Let's
already.
start 2026 off right.
Yeah, it is 2026. But you know what? You just proved my point that it is not what I said was a very flattering term. Professional friends, work buddies. Yes, and more proof. I already gave you proof last time. I'm not going to get into it and rehash, but I'm going to give you more. You, the three of us. I have more pictures with all of us in them than anybody but the kids and I. Think about that. Do you have more pictures with anybody else than yourself, me, and Shane J?
I've got more photos.
I've got more photos I'm saying your intermediate family. I get that, but anybody else?
I have a lot of screenshots of the fantasy football wins. I have more of those than I have of anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I'm taking family out of the mix, I'd have to maybe do a count, but it's up there.
There you go.
Who else are we taking photos with? The dude I ate at the pizza place with? I'm not taking photos with anybody.
I mean, I have pictures with a lot of other friends.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
That's what we're saying.
Big timing us with the friends.
Like I was just home in Buffalo last week and like took some pictures with like all my buddies back home.
Jay said other friends, which makes it sound like we're his friends.
Correct.
But
Work
Tom
friends.
didn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Those are home friends. We are work friends.
Gotcha.
All right, back to it then.
Who's hosting today? I don't even know.
It's me.
Okay, because this is going like sideways and upward.
If you
down.
thought an episode was going bad, who would you think the host would be, though?
I mean, it makes sense that it's you.
Yeah.
Our apologies to the guest already.
Our guest is fine. They know the gig at this point. How was Christmas? How was travel? Did y'all do anything?
Jay traveled. I did not. It was all right here. It's been snowing a lot. Snowing right now. We hosted Christmas with a newborn, which was maybe a mistake. we got
Christmas or the newborn?
I was gonna say that can come off the wrong way.
Oh boy, don't put me in that position
Or
right
both.
now, all right? No. You know, we just talked about the difference between last week and this week, and they feel monumental of getting ready for Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day hosting, even the day after. And I think we had something on the weekend, a visitor or whatever. And then transitioning into this week, a couple days of work at the beginning of the week. New Year's Eve feels like it's nothing. New Year's Day, at this
Saturday.
point, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, we had that group, the YPN fam chat, and individuals were talking about. I asked when were you all up until, and there were some people who were burning the midnight oils because that's typically what people do. Those days are definitely long behind me, and if I ever make it to midnight again, I'm gonna guess it's a good 5 to 8 years away. When with my family situation, it's not happening. So
Hannah
it was
didn't make it to
super
10:30
calm.
East Coast time. She didn't make it to 9:30 our time where
Yeah.
she was out.
9:15 we were
Yeah.
out, and so yes, this great. The holidays were great. They're definitely refreshing, and a lot of I think time to reflect and enjoy with the family, and ready to kind of get back to the routine. Maisie is now going to be going to daycare on Monday, so all three children will be going
With the
in their
same one,
direction.
right? You're just walking her
Yep.
to it.
So we just spent more money on a wagon and a cover than my first two cars combined. So
Yep.
we have that now, and we're going to be pushing those kids. I'll be pushing those kids off to daycare. Jack will continue on with his kindergarten a few minutes after we arrive. So a little normalcy, but it was really great to experience what we did. I just shout out to Melissa for all she's done in getting us to where we are right now with the newborn, and it's going to be tough for her going back, but
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be getting to more of a routine for her as well.
Jay, you traveled, but a lot of it was it was a quick trip, right? You had the
It was
game.
super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we literally landed in Buffalo at 1 a.m., had like a red eye, and flew out 48 hours later at 6 a.m. So it was super quick.
And you went to work that day.
Yeah, I went to the airport at 4:30 a.m., landed in Charlotte about 8:30, got to work, about 10-ish.
Quicker
11-ish.
than you got to work today with the nail.
I did. And it's luckily we got out when we did because they got hit with a storm later that day. And if we would have had a 2 o'clock flight, we wouldn't have got out. So we had the 6 a.m. flight, which was great.
Plus, in the middle of that travel, you had a Bills game, and so
did.
that's a giant chunk of your time. Obviously, you're spending that with your son and
With
some
some
other
family, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was brutal. The weather, gosh, that looked disgusting.
And is that
Yeah,
the
it
new
was a wet one.
stadium?
What's that?
Or is that still the old one?
Still the old one. The new one won't
Gotcha.
open until next year.
Okay.
So they got the last game in the old one on Sunday.
Oh, wow. No, because they're not going to host playoffs no matter what?
They
I
might.
mean, it's not likely. I mean, there is a scenario that they do, but they would need a lot of help to host a game.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they got to find value in winning this week, and then they have to have a couple other teams lose this week, move up the little ladder, and then have some help.
Yeah,
in the playoffs.
It's great. There's a lot of different scenarios, not just from a home playoff game, just in general seeding wise. But yeah, they would need some help to get a higher seed to host. So who knows?
Is a Bills Patriots first round possible? I understand the Chargers are basically mailing it in at this point, and that the Chargers are going to mail it in, but aside from that, Is that possible? Because that would
Bill-
be
Bills
not.
Patriots is the second most likely
Mm,
opponent behind Jacksonville. So percentage wise, 100, it's very likely. Yes.
I don't like that.
We want to talk about fantasy football?
It's over. No,
It's
nothing to
over.
talk about.
Yeah. I'm wearing my Whataburger hat, fellas.
Did you get it with your fantasy football winnings, or do you
No,
already
I've
have
had
that
this
hat?
one. Had this one
Okay.
before. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, congrats. We're really happy for you.
Those little guys work. So 9-game win streak, folks. Just they went off.
Yeah. No one's noticed how proud you are of this. You're very, very humble and modest.
And our guest is probably like already ready to get off this thing too.
Miserable. Okay, so let's get to our question quickly.
Okay.
We don't really do resolutions. I think we had some resolution talk, but we aren't big on resolutions. So, what is something you're looking forward to? It can be a resolution if you want to say it, but what is something you're looking forward to in 2026, both work and home? And I can go first.
Okay.
Work, we've been, for years now. Since I've been in Pflugerville, I've been working on something about this rec center, from the feasibility study to running the bond election to it going to bond and approving and all the things. And we are supposed to open this facility potentially January of 2027, but it'll be structurally open, and we'll be in it probably by November, doing hard hat tours or doing actual tours and running people through pre-sale. And so it's the culmination of a lot of work that I've spent in Pflugerville. So professionally, I'm very excited about seeing this rec center all the way through to fruition, and seeing it open, and seeing you can already see it. It's already going up. Walls are up and everything else. So there's a buzz already started. So it's exciting to see the plaza, the rec center, and how it's going to serve that community. That's definitely probably the thing I'm most excited about work wise. Home wise, I think, my youngest will graduate in May, which I know seems very far off from y'all and some of our friends in the YPN that just had babies, like Kevin with little Ben as well, and others. It does go quicker. I think Jay would have some perspective on how quick Noah's grown up, as well. But our youngest will be graduated, and we don't know yet what she's going to be doing, and we're excited for her. We're also excited about what that means for us, Han and I, and what empty nesting will look like, and how that'll affect potentially, future employment opportunities or places we live or things we pursue. And so a lot of uncertainty with it, but we're trying to sit here in the moment and enjoy what this time brings us. What her last 6 months, her last spring show, her last spring concerts, all the things you try to enjoy and appreciate as your children go through their senior year. So it should be a fun time for us.
So then you have no reason not to travel and come see us, is what you're saying.
That's
True.
right. I'll just pop in, and I won't even tell you. I'll just show up
Yeah.
on a Sunday and be like, "Hey, what's up, Jay?"
I expect it.
Pictures.
Yeah.
Take some more pictures.
Drive the Bronco.
I would say from a personal perspective, we have some big trips planned. We're going to Hawaii in a couple weeks, which I'm super excited about. Always want to go to Hawaii, never have gone before. Same with Lindsay. Got some really cool excursions planned for that trip, and then have a trip down to Florida planned for April to visit some family. And we're planning some other summer trips right now. So it's going to be the year of travel for us. We've been kind of putting off some trips, and it's time to say, why are we putting it off when right now is the time to do it? So, and we're at a point where like Piper's
How do the kids travel?
with. What's that?
I was about to ask, how do the kids travel? How's Harper?
I mean, what'd you say? What's her name?
Harper?
What'd I say?
Harper? You said Harper.
Yeah, I don't know who Harper is.
Oh, my bad.
We're colleagues, definitely not friends.
Exactly. I would think my closest colleague friends or best friends would know my daughter's name, but my daughter Piper travels great. She loves to travel. So no, she does great. Noah does great. I mean, they've been flying since we don't have family here. I mean, they've been flying literally probably before they were one, they were flying. And I mean, it's second nature to them. That's what they do. They know that because we don't have anyone here to come hang out with the kids on a regular basis, family wise. So we're always traveling somewhere to see them, and then obviously other trips. So definitely looking forward to that. From a work perspective, we are going to be updating our master plan in this coming year. So that's probably the one thing I'm really, really excited about. I am a absolute nerd when it comes to master plans, strategic plans, long-term planning. We've kind of talked about data analytics on here and cost recovery things and all these different plans. I love that. That is probably like right up my alley. So I'm really excited about, putting that out to a firm and figuring out who we're going to use for that and seeing what the future looks like. The last time our department did a master plan was 10 years ago, and we were a very different department then where we are now. We've grown, probably 40,000 new residents since then, added probably 10 plus miles of greenways, and we're adding new parks right now with our park bonds and new facilities. So it's a whole different department now than it was 10 years ago. So excited about that process as being my number one work goal for 2026.
And just for the Harper thing, Harper is my beautiful niece. And so, yeah, we're close because I actually got your child confused with my own niece, the name.
Okay. Well, I think you made that up.
I know. I don't know how that would actually work.
Harper.
If we're close, if you're close, you know the name of them.
Well, I mean, I'm close enough to know the names of all my nieces and nephews.
I'm gonna jump in.
Piper.
I'll make it quick since we need to get to the guest and just say on the personal level, we don't have a lot of travel planned. I think we did a little bit more in the last few years but the travel we do have planned, as you can imagine, we're going to have another Disney trip because we're in that zone, and our kids, they just seem to love it so much. But what's new about or unique about this experience is we're planning on going with some friends. And so that'll be a different experience, right? And being able to enjoy it with some other adults. We haven't done that in a long time. The first couple times we went to Disney, we met a few of our friends by happenstance and had some really great times. So this will be a mixture. Their kids, and then obviously the adult side of things. Not that we're going to get away from the kids, but it'll be another way to experience what we already love so much. And then on the work side of it, we're putting a master plan across. We're going to put it across the finish line shortly into 2026. And so to Jay's point, I could piggyback and echo. I've been through the start of 2 master plan processes in my 2 former organizations and left during the middle of both of those. And so I never got to see them through. One of them resulted in a really, really great community center. So I am excited to see where this goes. And also similar to Jay, this department, this organization, our community is completely different than when it was 11 years ago when I arrived. And this is going to be kind of that, I would hope, the crescendo of getting it to where I maybe saw it going many, many years ago when I took the job. And on a smaller scale, we've got some other small projects that have been highly anticipated, splash pad and things like that. But, the master plan itself, I've seen for years. I was the kind of individual who said, why do we need a master plan? And then I saw the success stories from some of them. I know a lot of them can sit on the shelf. Yeah. And it's, it's our job to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
That's awesome. Well, let's get to the guest. They've waited long enough. Okay. So this guest has a lot in common with some of our previous guests, which is pretty cool. They're a certified scuba diver, which Gabby previously had done. They've jumped out of perfectly good airplanes, which is insane. Like we've had some previous guests do. Like Melissa did it. Jay has been pushed out of one on his birthday as a surprise.
Wasn't pushed. I jumped.
No, that's not what Lindsay says. Or Harper. Ohio State. They are an Ohio State and Ohio Bobcat fan. So I imagine the last game was rough. Maybe they get into their disappointment of that. I've completed a full marathon and some half marathons. I think Allie had just completed a marathon when we talked to her recently.
Did you say Ohio Bobcat?
Oh,
not Buckeye?
Ohio State and Ohio Bobcat. Ohio State, Buckeye, Ohio Bobcat fan. They're a fan of both. Okay.
Well, I don't know that the common listener would know what the Bobcat is, and maybe it's just me.
Oh, that's their mascot. Some dude named Bob invented the Ohio University, named it after him. No, but they're the Bobcats. Now, what no one else has done that I know of our previous guests that they could have done. Now, they didn't do it, but they could have beaten up Joe Burrow in high school.
In high school?
In high school. And that's partly because they went to the same school Joe Burrow did, and they went there 10 years before. So I'm just thinking an 18-year-old could have beat up an 8-year-old. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So went to the same school as Joe Burrow. Have y'all ever had Joe Burrow in your fantasy? Has he ever disappointed
Yeah.
y'all?
Yeah.
I never have. But he owns a Batmobile, so it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. And like me, this person did some coaching. They are a strength and conditioning coach in Columbus, which is a mecca for strength and conditioning coaching, as we learned from Annie Frizzoli and her husband, who used to train at Westside Barbell, before meeting his wife and moving to the great state of Texas. They are a part of the 2-page resume club, which I love. They don't know that that's not what they call it. It's what I call it. But I got the resume. It was 2 pages and I loved it. They are a future CAPRA visitor. They have their CPRP and they're in a network with the 3 of us and 637 other people. Do you have any guesses?
Is that the YPN, right? Is that the network we're talking about?
That may be a network. But no, YPN's got more than 637 people.
Does it? Okay.
I think. This isn't that network. Jay just laughs at me the whole time I do my intros. So previously, they've been a fitness manager, a fitness and family program manager, a recreation supervisor, and a recreation manager. Jay, you talked to him about a month ago. They are currently the rec superintendent for the city of Richardson and the founder of the Rec Network.
Oh.
Jonathan Winters. Come on, John.
Yeah.
Oh.
We did talk. We had a nice little Zoom meeting.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey, man, how are you?
Happy New Year.
How was that first little bit? Was that just brutal, John?
Sorry
we
about
never
that.
really asked the
We
guests.
got to apologize. That was one of the worst. I'm not going to lie.
You know, you guys kind of always like dog on yourselves about that intro, and I think that's actually one of my favorite parts of the entire show. It's just you guys kind of like razzing on each other. I think it actually probably makes people that listen in kind of like connect to you guys a little bit more on a personal level.
I love that.
And you get to kind of have this you get to have this knowledge of like the relationship that you guys have, and I don't know. I think it makes it a little more fun. I know you guys kind of always poke fun at each other a little bit and say it's probably the least favorite part, but for me, it's actually I think one of the things I enjoy the most about it.
Well, I love it because you got 30 minutes of it at least.
I know. I was gonna say, good to know since you definitely got your
Hannah
fair
will edit that out. It'll seem like you only suffered for about 15 minutes, I'm sure, but no, you suffered the whole time. So thanks for being on with us today. Thanks for helping us wrap up season 5. We've been talking for a while. I've been trying to get you on, but I don't know you very well. We connected through actually Margie hopping on a call that Jeff and I did, and we asked everyone, all these young professionals in Texas, why would they jump on a call with Jeff and I? And her comment was that she had heard about myself through RecLess, that you had told her to start listening. And
Yes.
she asked me if I'd help her with some stuff. And so I've been mentoring is such a loose word with what I've been doing. She's fantastic, by the way. I've been working with her a little bit, but I got to know you through that a little bit as well, and some of our interactions. And I think the question I'm most interested in, I think that our listeners would be, is you created this new network, this rec network, and there had to be something that you thought was potentially missing from the other connection opportunities out there that you thought you could fill, which is really cool because I think all 3 of us have been a part of the Young Professional Network and other processes where at times we've found this void. And it doesn't mean the current offering or what is being offered is bad. It's just that there's this cool new opportunity that's being missed. And it's not tough to see that opportunity, right? It's not tough to say, boy, we need another restaurant here. Or this area would be great if it had a brewery or a bar. It's really tough for the person to go do the next step, which is fill that space. Right. And that's what you decided to do. And so what was it that you really thought we were needing that the RET network kind of hopefully solves in some capacity? And what was it like to build it up?
You know, I think I had team members, other people around me just, saying, I've reached out and I get all these different answers on questions. I get 50 different answers and none of them seem connected to like my exact thing. They might have reached out on NRPA, message boards or whatever. I actually kind of, between that, I was kind of already had this idea of, I'd like to create something to connect people more. I'm big on pushing my team and to connect and get most as engaged as possible. I was already looking for something, and I was actually listening to your guys' podcast. I think it was like episode 2 or 3 with Chris Noons. who I've actually connected with further now, and we do like a monthly call. But through that, I don't know, something just clicked, and I said, why don't I create something? And at the time, I didn't really have any idea of like what it would be or how it would build from there or anything. I just had this kind of name in my mind, and I said, let's just start with a Facebook group. There's some other great Facebook groups out there for Parks and Rec professionals. We all know the Women's and Parks and Rec one out there. And then, for me, I think personally, I came into this profession when I was, about 30, 29, 30. And so I missed a lot of that young professional piece. So I didn't have those connections that I think a lot of people have coming up through when they're in their early 20s and they're a coordinator and they get into these young professional groups and they're connected to individuals all the way across the country. And they're, I missed all that because I was in private industry as well. So I saw that as an opportunity I'm sure there's a lot more individuals out there like that. I think there's probably a lot of individuals that are at small agencies that have these questions, but maybe they don't have the connection or they don't have, the network to reach out to on a question that could easily be answered. So, I just kind of sat down one day and I said, let's see what we can build here. And I started it and started inviting people. And I think we're just shy of 700 right now. And was middle of August when I started it. So it's growing quickly. I've definitely been a little slower on the invites lately with the holidays, but they'll probably be coming more fast and furious after the holidays get finished up here. It's been a fun ride so far. I'm really excited to kind of see where it goes. We actually have our first webinar coming up. So Farrell Bueller, who you guys have had on as a guest, I connected with her at Traps North back here a couple months ago. Mentioned, would you be interested in being, a guest of mine, kind of in coming in and doing a connection piece with our members? But yeah, really looking forward to kind of where it'll go from there. I put out some different feelers like a couple months ago on, what's something that you would be interested in, the network kind of growing into. It's great if it becomes really large. That's, the more people, the more connections be possible. But I want it to be very intentional. I want it to be very about the connection and about the people that are in it actually getting something from the group. I don't want it to just be, I guess, another LinkedIn, I guess, if you will, where it's just kind of sending out information into the abyss. I want to have these small connections where maybe you only connect with 15 to 20 people, closely within that. But from those 15 or 20 connections, you're getting some real value on someone that you can reach out to and ask a question to. Jay, I was connected from Chris to you, and we were able to hop on and talk about a youth mentorship program that we're working on here in Richardson. I did that with 8 or 10 different communities across the country, and I think almost every one of them came from my Facebook group, from the Rec Network. So
cool.
We connected with City of Seattle, some different ones here in the DFW area. I think there's one down in the Austin area, but yeah, and it's been a fun ride so far. I don't think I really knew exactly what I was getting into when I first started it, but I'm excited to see kind of where it goes and how it grows from here.
I think that's great because I think about what you said, and if you have someone that's coming in either later in their career or didn't start through the YPN, you may not have the connections that like someone that comes in right out of college and kind of builds that over time. And it's funny because I think about like myself, if I need something, I have a handful of folks, but I've been fortunate over the years to build up, that Rolodex to use for different people. And, I don't ever, take it for granted because I've been so lucky to have that. But like having Rec Network and other groups like that is definitely going to be helpful for anyone, whether they're new into the profession, whether they've been there 5 years, been there 20 years, because with trends, things change, with new ideas, new programs, that, it's always ways for us to kick ideas. That's the best part of networking, obviously, is just getting new ideas and, sharing what works, what doesn't work. So, I commend you on that process. Is there, I know it's been 6 months, maybe 8 months that you've had it?
Yeah, something like that.
Is there like one thing that you've taken away so far that's been like, oh, I'm so glad that we had it because of this, or one thing that you've gotten from it that's been really helpful so far?
I think my favorite moments, I've had 2 or 3 of these where, and they've all been from smaller agencies. There was someone has reached out to me and said, do you know of anyone that could help me with XYZ problem or XYZ program or whatever? And especially being in the DFW area, we have a very large resource of some pretty large agencies. And I've been able to connect those folks, whether it be within our group here in Richardson or some other cities surrounding us, or just a couple other people across the country. So, somebody actually reached out to me and asked me about a youth mentorship program. And I had just talked to City of Seattle. And I said, you should reach out to these guys. They have an amazing program, kind of thing. But with the smaller cities, I think it's I've seen the bigger impact. I've had some folks reach out and say, do you have a connection with someone in parks that can help me do this? Because we have a brand new department and we're trying to figure out what the best, way forward is to make this new process. And I was able to connect them with a few different folks that was able to help them, continue on their process. So for me, I think that's been the biggest impact so far. There's obviously some other great things, but just seeing those little relationships be able to form and those connections that have been a big impact for folks.
Jonathan, I see that the group is, and we connected on LinkedIn. We haven't had a chance to actually connect like this, so I'm really glad to have the opportunity and hope to continue that on. I see the interactions. It seems like it's been fairly active, and you have some pretty, I'd say, regular contributors, and then some individuals. Yes. In one of our former guests, John Prue is all about it, and I love that he's sharing some amazing stories and videos and content. So, obviously, I think that's typical with any group, and in this group, if you want to look towards the network, that network dynamic within RPA, you have a board, so to speak, a chair, vice chair, treasurer, whatever it is, right? I know there's probably not a treasurer, but you get the idea. This group you don't have that kind of setup at this point, correct?
No, right now it is me.
Yes, Tom's searching for a role.
It's you.
Tom's
I need another job, and
I have a great unpaid job for you, Tom.
Very attractive. It sounds great. That's kind of be where my question is this someone, you have 687 members on there. Obviously, when you have that many members, a lot of them are just there to read the comment.
Right.
Read a post, like it, grab a tip here and there. But what would be your recommendations for someone who wants to maybe be more active and get involved? What would be the process? Obviously, join. So yeah, generally, what's the process for the individuals who are listening today who don't know about this network? What's their process for joining and engaging? Is it direct messaging? Is it just, hey, post if you have a question? What are your ideas and thoughts on how you want people to engage?
It can really kind of be a variety of things. So I guess to find it would just be, go on Facebook and look up the Rec Network Facebook group, and ask to join. There's a couple of questions on there that'll ask, what your current position is, where you work, that kind of thing. From there, some individuals love to post. Some individuals are not that way. That's just not their nature, and that's completely fine. I have definitely folks that message me privately asking questions that do not post at all. Maybe they'll like a post here and there kind of thing. So it's kind of whatever, I guess, fits you the best. If you want to reach out to me and I have a connection in there that I can set you up with someone, I'm happy to do that. If you just want to post a general question and have people respond on there, or, hey, I need help with this type of program. Can anyone fill out, send me some information? That's great too. Just drop your email in there and we'll send things back. That's kind of what I hope some of these. So the webinars we're doing there, I guess they're not your typical webinar, at least the one we have so far. It's not just a get on and listen and learn. So Farrah will do a piece where she will be just, teaching about connection and kind of the power of connection. But we also have some kind of very tailored questions that we're going to ask the groups, that we're going to ask the people that are there to help them connect. So it's kind of what is something that someone could reach out to you about, types of questions. So it's very specific and very kind of aimed at a specific type of connection piece, where we're not just trying to get in there and have you be a blank person on a screen, but the idea is to actually have you form some type of connection when you come into the webinar.
Yeah, it sounds very much what reminds me of the theme that we're going to be participating in the Wisconsin conference. The connection part is key, right? So that's exactly what you're looking to do with this network here, and put people together, like minds, like issues, challenges, and successes. So just a follow up on that, again, for individuals out there who this may be foreign to, or even just relatively new. When you say they message you, are they messaging Jonathan Winters' Facebook page or Jonathan Winters as a direct message of the page, the actual network page. And then if someone wanted to, the secondary question, sorry to give you two, if someone wanted
He's not sorry.
if someone wanted to help you out and someone wanted to take a role, are you looking for individuals to help administer?
If you message me directly or you message the page, you're messaging the exact same things.
Okay.
Because I essentially am the page at this point. And yes, I would be happy to have some other folks, be a part of it and be able to, I love a team. I love being able to share ideas. You can probably ask all my folks in Richardson and they're probably tired of me doing it, but yes, I'd love to have a couple of folks that we could hop on a call, once a month and bounce ideas back and forth on, how can we make this more connected? How can we grow this? How can we, what are ideas that are coming to you? Anything like that.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of different either networks or committees. I just imagine the sustainability of you. The more this grows,
Right. Yes.
if in 2 weeks after Farrell's, if after the webinar you have 1,500, you double. I mean, there's only so much, Jonathan, and almost
Yes.
the time that you have to. So yeah, that's great though that you're doing all that.
People want to be contributors, or people want to be on a board type of setting or something like that. I'm all for it.
Connection is fascinating because I don't think it's something we talk about a lot, something we've talked about more. We've seen the Women in Parks movement go from a Facebook page to I think they're doing their second annual conference.
Yep.
The Hispanic Professionals Group is starting to do some podcasts and webinars and things. You're seeing all this, but it's not. No one's reinvented the wheel. We've had fraternal and sorority type societies, whether they were in colleges in the academic world, or they were even service clubs like a Masons group or an Elks Lodge or a Lions Club or Knights of Columbus. I mean, you've seen these service things forever. I think it just continues to hammer home that as we start to get more virtual in our connections and how our world feels at times more virtual, and we're not as in person as we used to be, whether we like it or not, the need for these connections are just continuing to be more and more vital, and I love what you're doing. I love that you found a spot that at least almost 700 people have found some value in, and hopefully
Right.
It continues to grow. I want to move to a different portion of what we talked about when I was doing your intro, which is you came to our industry a little later. I think that provides an incredible perspective. I think there are times that I think I mentioned it with the previous guest and Jay gave me a face, but it's almost like when you walk into a room and there's a smell in that room and no one else smells it but you, because you're the new person and everyone else has gotten used to that thing that you always do. I would imagine there had to be something that when you got into our industry that you were just almost pulling your hair out. Like, why aren't they doing this? Or why are they doing this? Like, is there something that you could tell us that you were either shocked by one way or the other that we were doing in this industry that from an outsider's perspective, who was transitioning to an insider's perspective, you were just, shocked by?
I think you can have one going both ways probably.
Yeah.
And I think coming from a private industry, at times things tend to move a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
So I think coming from, really 10 years of being in a private industry type setting where, if we had an idea, as long as we had the budget, it happened right then and there kind of thing. Obviously there were larger projects that we had to budget out for, and I did some facility openings and things like that were, long-term projects, but much shorter long-term projects than they would be in a municipal setting. But when I walked into a municipal setting and I walked into City of Coppell was my first role in Parks and Recreation, which
a gold medal agency.
Yeah, I really had no idea what I was walking into. And when I got there, we were 2 or 3 years out from winning a gold medal. When I got there, I think I instantly realized that this was more of a setting that probably fit me. The way that we focus more on the customer experience, instead of the bottom line, just fit the way that I lead, the way that I like to interact with folks, much better than probably private industry. It just was really a kind of a breath of fresh air kind of walking in there. And I definitely haven't looked back. There was probably a few moments there, even in the early years in Coppell, where I was still thinking, is this exactly what I want to do? But as the years went on, it's definitely it, and this will be my career for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I took Hannah and I talk. I took some coaches' interviews even after I was working for the city of Fort Worth. I took a campus tour even with the University of Missouri at one time, looking at what my options would be. And so I totally get it because I think when we first get into any industry, but this one I think specifically, we've talked about it multiple times, guys, on this podcast. It's the hours, it's the time away from your family. You're the entry level coordinator. You're working. I mean, I remember Fort Worth, I worked 3 Saturdays. I got 1 Saturday off every month. I had to work 3 of the Saturdays every single month, and my center director did 1 Saturday and I did the other 3. And you're working nights and weekends and you're just like, wow, this is a lot of fun. It's incredible to serve a community. But then you're like, man, I don't see any of my family or kids at all, And so I think I think that initial, and there's probably that in the private sector too, but I think that initial, this industry, how we serve in our hours is tough to probably wrap your head around a little bit.
Yeah, but to add to that, I almost wonder if it's harder in Jonathan's case because you didn't do that like early on in your career. So like for me,
Yeah.
I'm coming out of college, my first 5 years or 3 years, I'm a programmer, and then I run special events after that. Like I didn't have kids.
Yeah.
So like I knew my first 8 years of my career was going to be like nights and weekends and kind of wild hours versus, you say you had 10 years on the private side and then you come in and I don't know what your hours were for the private side. So obviously maybe it could have been the same, could have been different, but I wonder if that's, more of an eye opener too then of like, oh man, like, yeah, I love what I'm doing. I'm more fit for this because we're serving more people. But after having different hours for 10 years, like maybe that's a challenge as well.
I will say my hours were probably pretty similar in the private side. Yeah. I mean, I was running.
You also worked at a Y, which I
so
didn't mention, but you worked at a Y, which Jay has some.
I did. I was very short-lived at the Y. When we first moved to Dallas, I actually worked at the Richardson Y for about 6 months. And then the opportunity popped up in Coppell, and I applied and got the position. And like I say, it's been a great ride so far.
Was there one like point of, being in your first municipality, local government job that, wow, this is done very different from like a government perspective, or what was a challenge? A lot of times like the politics obviously can be very different and hard to gauge sometimes, depending on the city too. Every city's different and some places are more political than others. But was there an experience or a point in time where you're like, wow, okay, I need to adjust because of the way things are done from a municipality perspective?
I think it's just learning the ins and outs. It's learning, you go from an owner of a company to, a park board and a city manager and city council, and just kind of learning, exactly where those whatever the perspectives are coming from. Is it coming from someone from a private industry in terms of your company's owner, in terms of the, finance people that are looking at a bottom line, or are we looking at from city council on their goals for the year on how they want us to serve the community? So just kind of that shift in mindset of, from one to the other, I guess, was a little bit of a change for me. Like I said, I think it was definitely a welcome change for me. It definitely fit the way that I wanted to serve and the way that I believe I managed my team and everything like that better than I was in.
John, that's the word perspective is interesting because I think all of us, none of us were born into public service. So at some point we got into public service. And at some point we probably heard people say things move quicker in the private sector. And then you get into the public sector and you realize maybe things move slower, but there's also a reason things move slower. Like,
absolutely,
I'm building this $80 million rec center and the private sector would have built it quicker for sure. They also wouldn't have asked the public anything.
Exactly. Yep.
And so, yeah, we've polled the public. We've made sure that we're continuing in the process. We made sure that we were building the facility they wanted to see us build because it's their money and they're paying for it for the next 20 years. And so, yeah, could I have just built an $80 million rec center the way I wanted to build it? Absolutely. Could I have done this 2 years quicker? Absolutely. We would have opened it and the citizens would have been like, well, where's the pool? And I'd been like, well, I didn't want to put a pool in.
Right.
I didn't want to have to manage indoor water, so I didn't put a pool in. And they'd be like, well, but it's already $80 million. And so it's one of those things where absolutely, sometimes I get into a conversation with the public where I'm like, you're right, we move slower. That's to your benefit. There are
Yes.
checks and balances. That's to your benefit. Like if a
Yes.
government could just take over your house and do eminent domain because it's a better use if we put a road right through it and government didn't have to talk to planning and zoning and the county and the judge and all these other people, they could just take properties. They could just build buildings. They could just leverage debt. They'd not ask anybody anything. There's a reason government moves slower because it's representative of the community. And I think at times everyone wants that, but they don't like how the sausage is made, that it takes another 2.5 or 3 years to do that because you're now going through the public process, And so, yeah, it absolutely, LA Fitness could have built this facility quicker than we're going to build it. And they wouldn't have talked to you about it at all. They would have talked to no one about it. They would have just built this building and it would have looked different. And it would have served the community, but it wouldn't have served the community the way this one's going to serve the community. And so I think perspective's great because you battled that thing of, it's just the public. They're just dragging their feet. They're taking their time. No, we're just making sure we're doing it the way the majority of the public wanted,
Right. Yeah. We're doing it this way so that we can best serve you. Is really, the thing to hit home there. It's, we're not just out here building a cookie cutter thing. We're building the thing that's going to fit our community and that's going to fit the needs of our community the best possible way.
Speaking of serving your community the best possible way, just, I don't know, we always get onto these tangents of projects that people are in, and funny I say this just to go back to our opening question. When we were asked what we were looking forward to most in 2026, not one of us mentioned any of the RecLess endeavors. Just pointing that out there. So,
John, if I had closer work colleagues,
then yeah. Well, if Jay had someone who remembered his child's name, yeah, probably. But
got it confused with my own niece.
Yeah,
that's a term of endearment. I was thinking about Harper. We're going to see her. This is unbelievable.
So Jonathan, let's get back to you. I want to kind of ask you that question, not the full question. We might go in rapid fire. But let's go into the personal part of that. But I want to ask you about what you're doing in Richardson. And we talk a lot about what you did with the Rec Network, and just kind of on the heels of the conversation we were just having. What are some things that you're excited for? What are you doing with the community to fit those needs and really serve them in a unique way?
Jay will probably love this, but we did a strategic plan within our recreation team here a couple of months ago. So I brought my team together for a 2-day kind of whatever you want to call it, group gathering sure. to figure out exactly, what are we doing well, what's not going well, and how do we progress from here so that we can make sure that we're meeting the needs of the community the best that we possibly can. So like I always lead with my team, and I always make sure that I ask these questions to them. Are we always looking to make things better? Are we always exceeding expectations? Are we serving with a servant's heart? Are we putting safety first? And then I always ask them to never stop learning. So this never stop learning part really comes into when I'm bringing them together for this little seminar that we did. But I brought them all together, and over 2 days, we put up on the wall all these, we had lists of everything we're doing well, everything we're not doing well, what we're missing from the community. And we brought it down to a statement. So you guys have, probably Jim Collins, you've heard the BHAG thing in the past. We created a BHAG statement. So a big, hairy, audacious goal that'll hopefully drive us for the next, 5-10 years. And from that, we created, I believe it's 26 different bullet points of items that we want to check off to help us reach that goal. We will probably never actually reach the goal. And that's kind of the point, is that as we get close, we'll just push the thing further off. We have, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 checked off so far and something like that. And like I say, it's 26 long. It's probably going to end up being hundreds long because we've identified the things that we know right now our community needs. But I think as we complete some of these, we're going to realize that, we actually are missing something over here, and we're missing something over here, or something has changed within our community where we now have a new need. So I'm very excited going into this year. I talked to my staff about, when you're putting things on these lists, don't just look for something that seems to fit the mold. Look for something that excites you, something that you want to work on, and something that that our community needs. So, when they're putting they go into the list, they put their name next to something they want to work on, and they put some kind of timeline in it. I'm not saying that our camp staff should be working on something during summer, because that's just not realistic. Yeah. I said, put some kind of realistic timeline on here and something that you're really passionate about. And it's been really neat watching the folks reach out and do the different things. Everything that's on that list is not something that I'm like super, super passionate about. I have my name on there about things, and I'm here to help and support every one of those team members on every single one of those goals, because that's just kind of how I support them and how I manage. But that's something, I guess, as we're moving forward, that I really am excited to see how that impact is going to happen on the community, and with our team as well.
Yeah, leading. I appreciate the concept of leading with the team. And that's
For sure.
that's not all leaders will do that, and you can't always do that. Absolutely, sometimes you got to make some decisions. We get that, but for what you just explained and described, that's a great way to lead with the team. And what it ultimately does, obviously, is you're getting the buy-in, because their input is now a part of the recipe. It's a part of the sauce of whatever it's going to create in the end. I think going back and just dialing it for individuals who have interest in doing something like that, we do a leadership retreat. So it may be not exactly the same, but there's some similarities there. The challenges that I find with that all the time are when to fit it in, and who's a part of this, right? So you've got your administrative leadership team. They have their responsibilities. They have whatever it is going on, programs, events. So, yeah, I guess that's my question. How do you find the time to fit that in? What's your strategy and goal to get your team to not feel overwhelmed because they're coming out of whatever they're coming out of, and then understanding that they're going to be tied up for 2 days, and then diving back in to it 2 days later, knowing that they already have their here and now, and now we just put this big, massive cloud of goals in front of them. How do you balance that and again, in planning that?
I think part of that was the really expressing them on pick something that you're passionate about, because I think if they pick something they're passionate about, at least in the times that they have the ability to do so, they will actually work on it and they will come back with some type of results. Whereas if it's just a goal that I set for them and hand to them, they're going to be too busy. It's going to be, there's always going to be something going on, and I understand that. They're running facilities, they're running programs. And I say to every single one of them, I'm here to step in and help you, and I'm here to be in any of the meetings that you need to be in, and I'm here to be in any of the support that you need. But I think finding those pieces that they're very passionate about is the key to making sure that that time is set aside for them.
I'm curious, when you're looking at those goals and when staff is kind of throwing ideas out at you, are there ideas or there are things that are on there that are just like not attainable? And if so, how did you approach that?
There certainly are. I mean, there are things on there. I'm not going to say anything is unattainable. There are new facilities that folks wrote on there, which absolutely does the community need, some of the things that they wrote down? Sure. Is it in a timeline that probably is, the front of mind of a brand new coordinator? No, it's probably not, as quickly as they think it's going to happen. But, I think having those on there and being able to share that with my director and, with our city management, and being able to say, this is something that our staff is at least identifying, at least gets that conversation started. So, down the line, maybe that can become a reality. Or maybe it's not a new facility. Maybe it's, well, okay, you're saying we need a new facility because of XYZ, but I don't think we've exhausted actually every opportunity that we have with our current facilities. So let's take that program that you're thinking needs a new facility, and let's find a new way to, balance this throughout our facility. So perfect example, we have a pretty large dance program within our two rec centers. One of the ideas was, we need a new dance facility specific to that. We combined the programs. We've kind of got the teachers all in one thing, and they're sharing space back and forth, and we're able to expand our program already from just a couple of months ago, where it had not done that in years.
The leadership retreat, one of the things I love that it didn't sound, at least, that y'all did, that I feel is a trap for a lot of agencies, is just doing what the nearby agency's doing, right? So Round Rock's doing it, so now we're going to do it. That's the dangerous game, I think, in some ways. Like I've been here almost 7 years in Pflugerville, and I believe the matrix of community happiness is somewhere in between raising the quality of life and lowering the envy that your residents have for another city, right? And I feel like it's somewhere in that mix where I was raising the quality of life for the first couple years in Pflugerville, but it was until we started connecting our trails a little better and putting shade over our playgrounds and highlighting that we put 100% shade over our playgrounds, and all the playgrounds were 5 years or under, that I stopped hearing about what Round Rock was doing or what Austin was doing or what Georgetown was doing. And so, yeah, I think it's both in some ways of raising the quality of life and lowering the envy of your residents to compared to what they see around them. And so I love that. It didn't sound like, at least, and maybe in the process of the weaknesses, someone saying someone else is doing better. But what I see sometimes, especially younger or newer park and rec professionals do, is just, oh, this is what Round Rock is doing, or this is what this nearby agency is doing, so we're just now going to do it.
Right.
And I just think that's a dangerous game, because you know their what, you don't necessarily know their why. You don't know why they're doing it well, why they're even doing it, and you're just chasing it in some ways. And so I was glad to hear that in your leadership format, that wasn't one of the pillars, is just what everyone else around you is doing.
Yeah, I think that's
which is tough in DFW, right? I'd imagine
that's what I was going to say. Yes,
very tough area, right?
Yeah, I think it's especially tough around here because all of our neighbors are doing something great. We're doing something great, so it's easy to look next door and say, oh, we'll just do what they're doing, kind of what you're saying. So yeah, we were very intentional about, let's try to think about what's right for our city and not just what's right for McKinney and Allen and Plano and everyone else around us. I think the list that we've come up with and the path that we're on is really going to be impactful for our community. Maybe some of those things wouldn't be as impactful for some of our surrounding cities, and that's okay, because we're looking to serve our residents and not theirs.
Yeah, I think if you hyper focus on yours, that's at least the first good step, right? That's the first step in that process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to be ignorant to what someone else is doing well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that,
no.
But if they do it well and no one in your community is interested in it, I don't know if it's the right path, right? And so evaluating some of
exactly.
that. With what our discussions and just talking to you, John, it just seems like leadership, mentorship, is something that you're super passionate in something that you really take to. And
absolutely.
And I love to hear that, because I think we're all probably of that same mindset. I think that's something that all of us, at least on this chat, would feel akin to in some ways. And so, is there something either in your time in the industry or after starting the Rec Network that you're seeing people talk about, that is there something that young professionals need to be more aware of? They need to be better at or thinking about, or what advice would you give a young professional for their next 10 or 15 years, like how they build in this industry, the career that I think they are wanting, but they don't yet know what this career is, what it looks like, what it could be?
Yeah, I would say stay curious, find mentors early, take ownership over your growth. And I would say leadership starts long before your title is a big thing. And that's something that I really talk about with my team. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new coordinator or if you're working at our front desk, you are the leader within that area. You are providing a service to our community. And, I'm not necessarily the one that's going to have that conversation with that parent when they walks in. I can help coach you up and help you understand what the best course is, when they come in and they're upset about XYZ, but you are ultimately the one leading in that time, in that exact moment. So helping them understand that, helping them prepare for that, so that they can become that great leader before they even step into that next role where maybe they are managing a team. But yeah, I don't know. Does that kind of answer your question, I guess, Shane?
No, absolutely.
I like that a lot, actually, because I think too many times.
Well, he said Shane, but go ahead.
He didn't say Shane. He said, did I answer? Let's go back and listen. He didn't say Shane.
I think he
just
said.
Asked the group. But I think too many times people sometimes focus on leadership from a director's perspective or AD perspective or superintendent, whatever the title is, but it's title driven. It's not just leadership. And what you said is anyone can lead. It's just a matter of taking the ownership of being a leader is what is really the focus. And then the earlier on you can do that, and the earlier on you can take that initiative, the stronger leader you're going to be throughout your whole career.
Adding to that, the what you mentioned about leading, and anybody can lead in any position. The greatest thing anybody can do in those types of positions or with that kind of influence is to see the other individuals that have teams lead in a certain way too, right? And take charge and be able to have that comfort level. That doesn't mean that your way as a director or rec superintendent is the perfect way or right way, but you're doing this and you're trying to lead a team of whatever those administrative staff or your leaders are, your team leaders. And then you have those people who oversee a summer camp, like you mentioned, right? And they have to lead too. So to be able to set kind of a bar and set an example, obviously will go a long way. And we talk about this when we talk about efficiency and being able to do your job. If the individuals that are in those levels that are maybe just underneath you that you're supervising directly, your direct reports, if they're leading in a way that is aligned with, again, your vision or the organization, or in a way that makes sense, that resonates with the people that they're leading, it makes your job a lot easier too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you guys are all directors or have been directors, and, so I'm sure you understand this, but if I can put people first and always invest in them, that's just going to trickle down. If I'm investing in and helping, guide the individual under me, they're going to help guide the individual under them because they see the value that's trickling down from that. And that's just going to make our entire department better. And it's going to make the way that we are able to serve our community better. It's what I really try to focus on. It's kind of one of my passions, I guess. Shane, you said this seems like a passion of yours, and yes, mentorship and leading is something that I definitely taken to. And I think I've been fortunate. I've walked into two different organizations that definitely prioritize that. City Coppell, when I walked in there, I think they've been doing work on their culture and on leadership probably far longer than a lot of organizations across the entire country. I mean, when I got there, they've been talking about it. They've been doing that for 20, 25 years. Yeah. And, Richardson is the same way. They have the same perspective of we need to invest on our people so that we can better serve our communities.
Well, John, we're at rapid fire time.
Okay.
Super exciting. And I get to go first since you're my guest. And you had a background in coaching, strength coaching, doing fitness.
I did.
And you did that in Columbus. So I'm gonna do a Tom two-parter. One, did you know of Westside Barbell while you were there? Okay, his head's
sure
nodding.
did. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
That's the mecca, right? And then two, what did you think your career was going to look like in that industry? Like, what was the thought?
So when I was in college, I worked with our athletic teams in a strength conditioning. I was a student strength conditioning coach, just kind of a volunteer. I thought coming out, I was either going to be doing that or, my degree was in exercise physiology. So I'd be working in a hospital doing cardiac rehab or something like that. I guess in a way I'm still coaching because I still get to, coach with my team, but just in a little bit different perspective. But yeah, I really thought that I would probably be in one of those two worlds coming out of school. And initially, I came out, in the 08, 09 area where there just wasn't very many jobs. And, I was doing personal training. I kind of walked into doing a strength conditioning coach with a high school in Columbus area. And then kind of worked my way into managing gyms and stuff like that. Just kind of the natural progression a little bit there. But yes, I was definitely aware of the gym you mentioned there, Westside Barbell, and I've been in it once or twice. It's a really neat place. Yeah. But yeah, that's strength conditioning is definitely a big thing in Columbus. There's a lot of these little kind of hole in the wall gyms that just produce some amazing results.
Exercise physiology majors, what we used to call scrubs or sweats. Exactly. You're either going to be wearing scrubs or you're going to be wearing joggers or sweatpants somewhere. That's awesome. Cool.
Jonathan, let's keep on that theme of exercise and fitness. Your background, clearly that's important to you. And, we've got a lot of individuals we've had so many guests that love to run marathons, everything like that. And
yeah, who's chasing these people?
And so, Shane, that's actually was my question today. I don't want to insult anybody. I've never asked this question to one of our guests, so I'm going to ask you. I feel comfortable with you, Jonathan.
He's fixing to insult you.
Okay. I'm ready.
My question is, and Jay, you could answer this too because you can speak to it. Shane and I can't. Why the running? Why so
Why?
much running? And I'm giving everybody the benefit of the doubt. Is it the fitness? Is it a mental release? Is it? I don't know. I can't. I've
There is
tried.
no runner's
And
high. It's bullshit.
Oh, yes, there is.
Hashtag earmuffs Rooney.
Yes, there is.
So I didn't mean to get into a crazy debate here, but
I was wearing the shirt today. I didn't even realize
you
it.
were. Mhm.
I think for me, it started with just a form of exercise. I was always in athletics growing up, and it just, I've always had health problems with individuals in my family. So it was just a way to stay healthy. And then I kind of got addicted a little bit to like the challenge of, can I push myself to do that half marathon? Can I push myself to do the marathon? I did the marathon on a kind of a charity basis on some friends that unfortunately had a family member pass away. And, I went and ran it with them kind of to help support that group. But yeah, it started as kind of a fitness thing. I have a 1 and a 3-year-old, so I'm definitely not out there as much as I used to be. Tom, I know you can feel me on that. I don't know if you're sleeping yet from your newborn or not. But yeah, that's definitely kind of how it started for me, was the fitness side of it. And then I think it just kind of took on a challenge world. And then, I don't know, just friends that were very interested in it, kind of like, hey, you ran that one. You want to run this with me? And I was like, okay, let's go.
Well, I've got a friend who's also a colleague, guys, Jeff Nutty, in the area,
Gotcha.
and he took up running. Not in
Any
the
photos of him?
The tradition. Yeah, I think we got some photos. Yeah, we've even made social media together once in a while. So, he took up running later in his life, in his passions and hobbies, not the opposite way where I think you kind of started. You had that, not that he didn't have any athletic background, but I started talking to him about it, and he is, to your point, almost addicted to the challenge.
Yeah.
I don't remember the run. It must be a runner's high. I don't remember the type of run, but he was telling me about it before NRPA conference, the Saturday before, he ran whatever kind of run it is. You both probably could tell me what it is. That was more than a full day of running. So they started the run at some point on Saturday, and he didn't stop running until like noon on a Sunday. So it was something like a 28-hour run, and I was
some kind of ultra marathon. Yeah.
Yes, and I was like, whoa! What? I just, and then he got home, took a nap, got on a flight to go to an RPA conference. So yeah, he was telling me, he's like, it's like a mental thing. He got into it, and he's just addicted to every challenge gets greater. Jay, please just indulge me. Answer the question. Is it a runner's high for you? What is it?
It's a couple of things. I mean, I love the feeling after a run. Like when you finish a good run and you have a nice sweat, like there's no better feeling. It's
I
also
bet there's better feelings.
motivating to push yourself to like, hey, I track all my rate, like my runs, like I know what my time is. So like I want to beat that time. I want to get faster. I want to be able to, finish it quicker than last time or have a better pace, whatever it is. So I mean, there's a lot of things, but it's it's something that also, like when you get in the zone, like I'm not a long distance runner. I run more sprints, but like when you get into a zone, like you can just keep going because like you feel like you can keep going. So it's just I don't know, it's a unique feeling. I don't think I've ever shared this, but Tom, you'll appreciate this. My wife has ran one marathon, and it was the Disney marathon, and you actually run through all the parks.
Yeah, I know a few people.
It's a pretty cool experience that she was able to complete. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about running that if you get it, you get it. Maybe you should try it sometime, Shane or Tom, and maybe you'll get it.
That's how we get Tom in there, so we invite him to the Disney marathon.
Yeah, I was told that you can walk that too, right? You don't have to. You don't have to run there.
It's probably the cheapest you'll ever do in Disney. The whole part.
I'll tie it back to a neat connection piece. So when I was in Capo, we actually started a running group in our rec center. So we signed up for a half marathon. I think we had about, wasn't half? Yeah. So we had about 20 people.
Like a couch to 5K type thing?
Yeah, kind of couch to 5K thing, but we did a half marathon instead. So we had about 20 people that went out, and those 20 people then decided afterwards, that was really fun. And, I'm like exhausted by this point. I'm like kind of done with the program. And they're like, hey, why don't we do a relay? And I think you should put the whole thing together. And I was like, well, we got to keep this group together. So we started and we did a Dallas Marathon relay. I actually wasn't originally going to run, and it was right after I had run the marathon that I did. and someone got injured like a week beforehand, and they pulled me in to run one of the legs of the marathon. But it was really neat. We had a couple of teams that went out and did it, and so it's just me and some members of the community, and we're like riding around in vans and hopping out at the different pieces where they have to go in to do the different
Sounds
relays.
illegal.
Yeah. But it was a lot of fun. We went out and celebrated a little bit afterwards, and just the connection piece that came from that. I'm still Facebook friends and some of that with some of those residents there. So it'll be kind of a forever connection I have with those folks.
Okay, I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and obviously we talked a little bit earlier, or Shane mentioned your ties to Ohio. Now you're in Texas. What is one thing you miss that you don't have in Texas that you miss out of Ohio?
Not a damn thing.
And that's why I asked, because everyone that lives in Texas thinks Texas is the best thing on earth. And there's got to be things that like, oh, I wish we had this because Ohio does it better or had this better or whatever it may be.
I live in Dallas now, or Dallas area, and I came from Columbus, and there was definitely a unique feel with Ohio State there. And, I think I missed that kind of game day connection where you go down and, I have little kids now, so I probably wouldn't be doing it anyways. But when I was living there, I was a lot younger, and, we'd go down and we'd kind of have little tailgate areas with some of our friends, or the company that I worked for actually had a tailgate right outside the stadium. That kind of unique connection with the city and that university is just like not something that really you have in this area. I mean, it is a Ohio State obsessed area in Columbus. It is kind of wild how much it is, but
that's cool.
So I think that's something that's definitely different, and something that I do miss a bit.
First of all, did you ever indeed or in fact rough up Joe Burrow when he was 8 years old?
No, that was just my way to say he was 10 years older.
Did that happen?
He could have though.
I did not, but
no.
But so when I worked with the football team, his dad was the defensive coordinator. Okay. So I actually remember Joe being on the sidelines, like at the end of, workouts and stuff like that. And he'd like throw passes to some of the college receivers at that time. And you could tell even at that time, like, that kid's pretty good, and he's like 10 years old or 12 years old or something like that. And then he was in the same grade as one of my friends, like, younger siblings and stuff like that. So,
cool.
But cool. I don't know him at all. I actually know his parents probably better than I know him.
That's cool. Well, and that was a joke question to lead into a Texas-Ohio comparison. When the Bills and the Bengals played many years ago, there was a really, when they put them on national TV, they do these comps of the food, right? And then Joe Burrow was talking about the Cincinnati chili or Ohio chili, which is whatever that is. I don't know
Skyline.
if that's chili or
Skyline,
meat sauce on
spaghetti.
And I've had Shane's recipe or the Texas chili, and we have our chili where we're from. Ours is closer to the Texas chili, but the Texas chili just doesn't have any vegetables, which is amazing. So
no beans.
What is the Ohio chili? Can you tell me about this? I'm curious. Have you had it?
Well, so what you're talking about is Skyline chili. My wife is from Cincinnati, which is where that all originated. And Cincinnati, it is like, a delicacy pretty much. Like everybody loves it.
Yeah, it's like the garbage plate. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So they also do some little coney dogs. I'll tell you, I can really get down on some coney dogs. I don't know what it is about the little cheese or the way they, steam the buns or something. I don't know what it is, but they are delicious. I'm not as big of a fan of the chili on noodles as maybe your actual person from Cincinnati. My wife loves it, and her entire family loves it. But for me, it's the coney dogs. Now, if you're talking actual just chili, we, from Ohio, we're probably more on your perspective, and we're probably going to have beans, and we're probably have some vegetables and things like that. But living down here, I don't have any problem against some. I don't have anything against some Texas chili either.
Sounds like a soup. It sounds like they're making. Okay, so we're going to Columbus, couple years, and if you were going to lead us on a food tour, where would you say a couple places that we need to make sure we hit up?
Well, definitely go and try Skyline. Would be my first one. Do
they have one in Columbus, or is that just Cincinnati?
Yeah, they're all over Columbus as well. It's gotcha. They're pretty spread across. I think you just have to try it just to say that you've had it.
Jay, for you, they have Skyline chili ice cream because he's got a sweet tooth.
I
Put
would
ice cream on pasta?
not sure how that would be, but
No, it's just the taste of it. I think is they have some sort of
Oh, wow.
flavored like that.
interesting. Okay, what else? You come.
Gosh, so Jenny's ice cream. If you guys are, Jay, I know you're into that.
Yeah, we got Jenny's
gosh,
here in Charlotte. They're good.
yeah, I am trying to think of the steakhouse that's downtown, and it is escaping my mind right now. I'm gonna find it.
I almost
and I'm
think
gonna
Bernita
send it
said
to
something
you.
about a steakhouse.
Yeah, I think she did, and it's like on the tip of my tongue, and I'm trying to remember what it is. Is that nice? Ooh, I don't know, guys. I'm blanking on it, but I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna find
Love
it,
it.
and I'm gonna send it to you.
We'll check it out.
We'll
Any
just end
spots
this-
to visit, like
I was-
parks wise or anything in Columbus that you'd suggest, or plazas?
There is a park. I was actually just there. It is, what is it, like Scioto? Gosh, I'm bad as I haven't lived there in 10 years. But it is, and I've been there been to this park one time. But there's a park right south of downtown, and you kind of get a view of downtown. They have a climbing wall there that's like 50 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
They have a nature area that's right on the side of it. It's really neat just to see. So obviously they've put quite a bit of money into it and everything, but you drive down in and you kind of come through the nature area when you get down to the little playground park, and it's definitely worth going out and checking out. I know they've probably built many more since I lived there, and I didn't have little kids when I was there, so
Yeah.
so I wasn't bouncing around the playgrounds as much as I was. I was probably out more. There's a couple of parks out like Alum Creek, which is a lake up there. They have some kind of neat nature areas and stuff. If you're, Jay's looking to go on a little hike around the lake or something like that. I don't know if the other two are, but
Maybe we could go for a group run.
there you go.
It'd be a short run.
I just wanted to end the debate on food. For someone who's lived in two locations for a significant period of time, they obviously have pretty good perspective. Texas or Ohio.
Gosh, I think Texas is probably taking that one.
Look at
It's hard to beat. Especially Dallas area. I mean, we've got like every restaurant, everything you could ever want food wise. I think you guys have been to Hutchins, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
Barbecue.
I've been. Yeah. That was the one I thought we were talking about. Yeah, when we were talking about Cherry Blacks, but yeah.
Okay. There's one like walking distance from my house. So it's a great place. But yeah, just overall, I think, Texas has got to take it.
John, thanks for being on. I just want to point out, every time we have someone on and it's Texas or whatever, Texas wins every time with the food. Just want to point that out. Undefeated. John, thanks for coming on, man. This has been great. Hopefully your 2026 is off to a great start, and thanks for helping us wrap up this season.
Absolutely. And Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse is the one that I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Note that.
Awesome.
So that, at least in my experience, that's a great one.
Okay.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks so much for having me on. Happy New Year. Tom, get some
too.
sleep.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Jonathan. You too.
Thanks,
I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks,
See you
guys.
again.
Bye.
See ya.
So, guys, our phones listen to us, just so you
Yep.
know, and we say
The
Texas.
only people that listen to us, by the way, is our phones.
Yes. We say Texas a lot. I mean, we had to say Texas at least 25 times today.
Okay.
My phone and my TV put up on, especially on my sports app, and then whatever Amazon or something they're on when we're on Amazon Prime or whatever. Visit Texas campaign comes up all the time.
We want you
as
to
an
come
ad.
visit us.
They clearly know that I talk about you a lot.
We want you to come. John wants you to come. Shane wants you to come.
Yeah.
Harper wants you to come visit.
Texas is very aggressive.
We are. How great. John was great. One of the cool things about this podcast is Allie, my last guest, and John, this guest. I never really knew them
Sure.
except for through their experience of listening and enjoying this podcast, and then me getting to know them. And that's what's great about this dumb little podcast is we continue to get exposed to really cool people doing really cool things. And like I said, leadership, mentorship just oozes out of him. Like he couldn't help but create a network to help other people connect. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And you talked earlier about connection. And I think what's really neat, and he's not going to know this yet because it's still so young, But for a very long time, people are going to always know that like the connection that they made to a certain person or a certain group or a certain topic is going to come from something he started.
Yep.
So like that's how him and I started. So him and I actually, we obviously connected through that. And then he reached out to me after, and we had a little Zoom meeting to talk about a topic. But like when it's all said and done, in 6 months or a year, next time I see him, like we connected originally on that platform. And that's something that's really cool to be proud of for him to say that. And there's so many more people that are going to be able to always say that, because then when you're at a conference and you're in a room with people, like you're going to recognize a face or a name, and it's going to come to you because of that network.
Yeah.
Yeah, that network. So, Jonathan reached out to us early when that was so I had not known of the growth, you know what I mean? And I'm just not as plugged into all of the different groups, but the growth it's been pretty significant since the time that he's reached out. And Jay, to your point, the connections that people are making through that, it's a lot of when we get connected through someone through this venture, it's extra special. And you have that, it's that, like you said, Shane, fraternal type of bond. What I really appreciate about that too is that there's the networks in NRPA. We've had the conversations before of you join YPN and then where do you go? You go to the, whatever it used to be called, but now it's the Administrators Network, right? Or is that what the old? That's the old one.
Yeah.
Leadership Development now, yes. And so there was this. Where is the place for someone that's beyond that? And this place is for everybody, but most certainly someone who maybe is graduated from YPN and doesn't seem to have a home with the NRPA networks. This definitely fills a gap.
For sure. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's 100. It's getting 100 new people every month. It seems like, on average or more, and so it's going to be something.
And after this episode, 101.
101, baby.
Yep.
We're a rocket ship to the moon.
Yes, true.
Well, fellas, this was fun.
99 up ahead.
Yeah, so we got the wrap up, and then we'll take a break for a little bit, and we'll start with season 6 with episode 100.
Yeah, hopefully we get to 100. That break.
Who knows? Who knows what happens in that break? All right, fellas. Till next time.
We'll see you next time, everyone.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
This episode of RecLess wouldn't have been possible without the support of our agencies and our better halves, Melissa Salatino, Lindsay Tryon, and our executive producer, Hannah Mize. We also want to thank our director of hashtags and swag, Rooney Taylor, and our team of junior producers, Luke, James, Elizabeth, Grant, and Harper. Stay up to date on all things RecLess by following all of our social media, and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast to ensure you don't miss an episode. See you next time on RecLess.